Hi everyone. So today we're going to be looking at fats and healthy cooking skills. So a very important macronutrient that we all need to have in our diet. So this is going to be like an online session, a virtual session for you guys. If I or the team can't make it to a session. So first thing what I'd like you to do is let me know if you have any health conditions when you come into the sessions, because of course it's really important for us to understand if you have any medical issues, etc. Also, if you do scan those QR codes there's some really nice recipes you can find at home, and some exercises you can do at home as well. So if we can't obviously run the session, then you can do some sort of benefit to help yourself. Cool. So if you want to pause the video here, and just do 5 minutes of your weekly goal review. So want to be looking at our smarter targets from session two that we've spoken about. And then obviously for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, have a look at our nutrition goals, our physical activity goals, if we're actually going to do it or not. So let's be honest with ourselves, and any comments about it. So how we got on with it. So if you've put that down already, have a little review of how you've got on with it. And if not, then we can always maybe fill it in a bit later. So the session objectives today, we're going to be looking at what fats actually are, so we can get some sort of understanding of what fats are, and discuss ways to support home cooking and tips to home cook meals. So emphasizing how well we can cook at home and how healthy we can make our recipes at home. And then we've got to explore how to eat well on a budget, really important, because you can eat really healthily on a budget. A lot of people don't really understand how you can and what sort of nutrition we can get from them. So hopefully we'll cover that in that session as well. And then we've got discussing our cooking methods. So we're going to be looking at ways we cook the food. So are we grilling the food? Are we microwaving the food? Are we steaming the food? So different ways of cooking can also affect the nutrition of the food we're eating. Cool. So we're going to be looking at fats here. So what fats are? Well, first of all, fat is a macronutrient. So it's going to help with our energy. So helps absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. Especially during the winter months, we want to be having our vitamin D. So if we can get our fats a bit higher at that point as well, we're going to be absorbing our vitamin D much better. Um, so yeah, they're one of the three macronutrients alongside protein and carbs, that provide energy for our bodies. So fats are essential for various bodily functions, like we have there, such as absorbing the vitamins, and also producing hormones, building cell membranes, etc. There are different types of fats, so we can see here. These include unsaturated fats, saturated fats, trans fats, which have different sorts of benefits. So different fats provide different benefits, basically. We also have our good fats and our bad fats. So when we look into the types of fats that we're actually eating, so we can actually make sure that we are looking into the good fats. The unsaturated fats is the fats that we're going to want more of the time. Um, these have health benefits, liquid at room temperature, and there's two types. So we've got monounsaturated. So we've got there, good for helping you have good cholesterol, found in olive oil, rapeseed oil, nuts, and avocados. And then polyunsaturated fats as well. So that would be an unsaturated fat, which are good for helping lower bad cholesterol, omega 3s, and omega 6. Provide essential fatty acids. So when we talk about our brain health, so our neuron function towards our brain, if we're having more of this things like salmon, then we're going to increase that omega 3, which is going to provide better essential fatty acids, which is going to benefit us in the long run. If you think about it, if we're looking at our mindset, then that's going to improve our focus, which may actually help improve our diet as well, because we're going to stay focused towards that goal. And then we've got our saturated fats. Now, saturated fats that we can see there, so solid at room temperature, so found in lard, butter, fat on meat, and coconut oil and palm. They're also found in meat and meat products and in cakes, obviously biscuits, pastries, and dairy foods. Now, saturated fats, the two types that will come up a lot will be the hydrogenated fats or the trans fats as well. They kind of fit into this bad fat environment. So hydrogenated and trans fats, they're going to raise our cholesterol levels and increase the risks of heart disease, etc. So we want to avoid them. So pause the PowerPoint there if you need to, jot some notes down, and then come back to the presentation once you have played it. So there we go. So the link towards fat and cholesterol is strong. So there's two types of fat we can understand. They both have different effects on our body. But there's also two types of cholesterol. So we've got, as you can see there, our HDLs and our LDLs. So our HDLs are our good cholesterol. So we're going to be looking at achieving that eat well guide kind of. If we're hitting that sort of balanced diet, we're going to be hitting a good amount of HDLs and getting our low cholesterol, which is really important. And our LDLs, which are the bad cholesterol, so they cause narrowing of the arteries, which of course reduce the blood flow, which could lead to strokes, etc. We want to avoid the LDLs as much as we can, and that would really benefit us, not just in our health, but also in our reduction of diseases. So not just weight loss as well, it would actually help with our overall health as well. So really important that we keep trying to hit our HDLs, our high density lipoproteins, and trying to avoid our LDLs, because obviously that is our bad cholesterol. So if we are having that amount of saturated fats, our hydrogenated fats and our trans fats, then that's then going to affect our LDLs, which we don't want to happen. So if we can avoid the high bad fats such as trans fats and saturated fats, then with the unsaturated fats, that's going to be giving us our good cholesterol. So we want to kind of aim towards that area, and that's going to be much better. So it's gonna, yeah. So it will help if we can hit that HDL kind of goal, and try and limit the amount of LDLs we use for our diet. So recommendations. So when we talk about recommendations, this is the average. So it shows there, don't have more than 10% of saturated fats per day. So fat intake per day for women is 70 and for men 90. But our saturated fat is really important because that's going to give us our bad fats, as I've just mentioned, and our bad cholesterol. So our saturated fat intake a day, we want 20 grams for women and 30 for men. Now, this is really important that we keep our saturated fats low, because we can get really good fats in our diet and we can get really good energy from it. So, of course, we want to stick to those top numbers. But if we're a little bit off on those top numbers, it's not going to matter too much. Whereas if we are really kind of off on our saturated fats, that's going to really impact us, because it's not just going to increase our weight, because if we're having more saturated fat throughout the day or more fat in total, it's got 9 calories per gram of fat. So our calories are going to increase, and then our weight will increase because we're having we're not having as much expenditure and more intake. So that's going to then affect how much we're going to put on, but also the saturated fat is important because it's going to affect also our overall health with how we're feeling. So really important to try and get that saturated fat below that number, or around that number. Oh, so taking a break from fats now, what we're going to do is move on to how we can cook at home, how we can improve our overall diet just by cooking at home. So benefits of home cooking. So we're in control of how much salt, sugar, and fat go into a meal. When we order from takeaways, from fast food restaurants, from restaurants, and we're not gonna understand what they're actually cooking with. So we can ask to an extent, but we're not going to be in control of how much salt, sugar, and fat goes into the meal we're about to eat. Whereas if we cook at home, we can be in control of that, which also helps us massively. You can control the types of carbohydrates, so whole grain versions. So this is looking into our complex carbs. So we want the complex carbohydrate to be higher than the simple carbs, just because our body's going to take longer to digest it and have a slow release of energy, so it's going to fill us up for longer. which this also prevents obviously snacking, which also then results in weight loss as well. Um, can you add additional fruit and veg? So yes. So when we're home cooking, can we add just the little bits of veg in our fridge that we might have left over, such as a stir fry, for example, would be perfect to add those sorts of fruit and veg into a pan and just use it up. Portion size. Now, this is one of the most important things in nutrition. A lot of you might think that you are having a healthy diet, but we also got to watch our portion sizes. So we could be having a healthy diet, but having too much of it, and we're going to still be in a calorie high, basically. So we're going to be having too much calories, which isn't then going to cause us weight loss. That's going to cause us weight gain, even though our overall nutrition is going to be really good and we're going to be hitting sort of our macronutrients and our micronutrients. We're still going to be over how much we should be having, which that just kind of confirms that the calories we have in and the calories we have out are really important. Even if we are having a healthy diet, it's all about having that balance as well. So when we're cooking from home, we can manage that much better than having, I don't know, a garlic bread at Pizza Express and it comes out like a pizza. So we can really manage it when we're benefits of home cooking. Frozen foods such as fruit and veg, as these can often be cheaper than fresh. So this kind of relates into our cheap, the cheap options of cooking, the budget cooking as well. Frozen fruit and veg don't lose their nutrients like a lot of people think. They do keep them, so it's just as good as having it fresh. And it also is a lot cheaper. So if we can get like a mixed bag of fruit and veg and throw it into some chicken and rice or some pasta, to some sort of meal, then we're going to really benefit from it. So cooking methods, three main ways to cook food. We've got without additional fat, so microwaving, grilling, roasting, air frying. Then with water, boiling, steaming, stewing, and braising. And then with fat, frying, deep fat frying. So the first two obviously are fine. So without additional fat, it's obviously going to be perfect for us. We're not going to add any negatives into our meal. And then with water, so boiling, steaming, stewing, and braising, that's also really good as well because we're not going to have any additions into our meal as well. So really, really good to go both those routes. With fat, so deep fat frying, we want to obviously avoid. That's going to add a lot of calories and saturated fats into our meal that we don't need. So we need to try and limit how much we're having of that. Frying in general is fine as long as we're not overdoing it with the butters and with the oils. Then it's going to be okay to have. So things like bacon, try cooking just laying it on the pan and using the fat to cook the bacon instead of adding the oils and the butter into it. Pause there if you need to jot anything down, guys, and I'll move on. Cool. So eating well on the budget. So when we talk about how we can improve on a budget and cook better on a budget, include half meat portion, half plant-based protein like pulses and bulk with veg. Things like chickpeas, things like lentils, really good sources of protein as well. A lot of people don't realize really cheap sources of protein as well. So if we can, like it says there, do half and half, we're going to save ourselves a lot of money and also hit a good amount of protein and actually provide a lot of nutrition as well. Using frozen veg like we mentioned before, meat and fish non-battered as well, that's gonna be much cheaper than buying it fresh. Bulk buy foods and batch cook and freeze. This is really good. So if we are meal prepping as well, I know we have a session on that. Oh, there we go. It's just there, meal planning. That's really important. So kind of as a whole, bulk buying foods and batch cooking them and freezing them is going to be really good for your budget, because you could just buy maybe a bag of rice and cook it all at once and then batch cook it and freeze instead of buying maybe the microwavable Uncle Ben's for like £1.50. So it's much better to do that way if we can and if we've got time to do it. Try own brand versions. It's really good. Things like Weetabix, for example. It's going to be fine if you get the wheat bix. They're going to be very similar nutrition in there. I know you can get like the protein Weetabix ones that are like £4. They're actually no different to a normal Weetabix. It just says on the back of the protein Weetabix that it's with milk, so it has more protein in, whereas you normally have Weetabix with milk anyway. So have a look at the labeling as well. I know we do a food label session, so have a look at that. But you can you can always go for the cheaper version with those sorts of things because the nutrition is going to be very similar. Cool. So keep lids on pots and batch cook to save energy. So yes, we could go that route. Store cupboard essentials. So yeah, so we want to stock up our cupboards with proper essentials that we're not going to run out of quickly and things that we can use pretty much daily. It's going to really help as well. Buy single item foods such as loose fruit rather than pre-packaged fruit or microwave veg bags. So if we're looking at we just need an onion for 1 day, do we have to buy 3 of them? That's going to cost more than buying it singly. So maybe can we bag it and weigh it all out? And then puree fruits near the end of life. That's just kind of like a way to prevent food waste, I guess. And also can be used for other things instead of buying more. So that's hopefully a little overall of fats and healthy cooking skills. So what I want you to do now for about 5 or 10 minutes is pause this video once I've finished speaking and have a look at your weekly goal setting. So like we did last week, I want you to do your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday nutritional goal and physical activity goal, with kind of looking at those cheap options for cooking, sort of buying foods as well. Can maybe get a shopping list and work it out what we're going to have throughout the week. And also what I want you to do is have a look at the physical activity goal as well. So hopefully we can get that done, guys. So pause it now, get that done. Cool. Hopefully you've done that. So if we are on the session 5 and this is used, then our next session will be food labels and processed foods, which fits really into what I was saying at the end there. So really good session. So yeah, come along to that. Thanks for listening, guys. This is pre-recorded, so I won't be able to answer any questions. But if you have any questions that you want to ask me when I see me in person, then of course go for it, and I'll be happy to answer them. But thanks for listening, guys, and well done.